Hello and welcome to the complete ChatGPT course. In this course, I will take you from ChatGPT beginner to power user in no time. You will learn how to leverage ChatGPT to elevate your communication skills, advance your career, overcome technological challenges, as well as using ChatGPT for coding. This course is constantly being updated with each new advancement by OpenAI. You will not only learn about ChatGPT in this course, but also ChatGPT Plus and the brand new GPT-4 model. My name is Mike Wheeler, and I have taught hundreds of thousands of students online, and this is the first ChatGPT course that was released on Udemy. Just look at the URL for this course and you'll notice that I secured the coveted slot of this course to be fun, engaging, and informative. I will introduce many ChatGPT advanced techniques and use cases to boost your productivity and skills to a higher level. It is so important that you learn to use ChatGPT effectively in order to future-proof your skills and to attain relevance in your career. Simply put, if you don't learn ChatGPT, you will fall far behind the competition because ChatGPT has taken the world by storm. In fact, it is the fastest platform to reach 100 million users by far, only in just 2 months. And that's in the history of all computing. So ChatGPT has crossed the chasm for AI into the mainstream and is ushering in the fourth industrial revolution. And I want to make this decision easy for you to enroll and totally risk-free. You can enroll in this course right now, and if for whatever reason it doesn't meet your expectations, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. And I want to hear from you. Since I am updating this course weekly, tell me what you want to learn with ChatGPT, and I'll get it added to the course. So don't delay and enroll today in the complete ChatGPT course. I'll see you inside. You can sign up for a free ChatGPT account by going to openai.com. Now, at the time of this recording, they have a try link here, which when clicking on that will take you to chat.openai.com and then /auth/login. I'll link to this in the resources section down below. Once you have an account, you can click login, but to sign up for a free account, you're going to click on sign up. I'll link to this as well. And you will want to enter in your email address and also specify in the reCAPTCHA that you're not a robot. You may be challenged to identify a certain shape. Here I've got chimneys. I don't know if this is a chimney or not. This is always fun and challenging. I'll click verify. And I have confirmed that I'm not a robot, but I want to have a ChatGPT account so I can write text that is written by a robot, such as ChatGPT. But I digress. Let's continue. And so now I can set my password that I want. And then once you've set your password, click continue. I'll go ahead and save this to my browser. And the next step is to verify your email. You'll receive an email from OpenAI to confirm your email address for your free ChatGPT account. And here's what that email looks like. Click here to verify your email address. And once you've verified your email, you can enter in your information, first name and last name, and then click continue. And then you can put in your phone number to send a code to then verify, and then you'll receive a code on your phone and enter in that code that they send you. And one thing you'll notice whenever you first get logged in to ChatGPT is that oftentimes there's warnings about there being exceptionally high demand or they're at capacity. So in the next lesson, we'll get oriented with the interface. We'll start working through some examples of using ChatGPT in order to start becoming more familiar with this amazing tool. So once you're logged into ChatGPT, you're greeted with an interface that you can toggle between dark and light mode by clicking here. And so I'm going to turn on dark mode, and then you can always return back to light mode as well. And then you may not have any chat history here if you're brand new to ChatGPT. I do have some history here as far as previous chats, and so you can always access previous chats by clicking on them. And so what's nice is that you can revisit previous chats and pick up where you left off. ChatGPT is able to remember its previous responses in context as well. And so whenever you want to create a new chat, just click on new chat. And here on the home page of ChatGPT, you've got your sections for examples, capabilities, and limitations. So you can click on one of these example prompts and make this, if you want, your first prompt. And here would be to explain quantum computing in simple terms. And then you can either hit enter or click send, and then it will type up and give you the response here based on what your prompt was. Now, if it goes on too long, you can always select to stop generating, or also if you would like another response, you can click regenerate response. So I'm regenerating that response, and I'll show you the process of stop generating, and that will stop the generation of the response in its tracks as well. You can always get back to the home screen by clicking new chat, and you notice in my chat history, we can re-access our previous chats here. Other example prompts such as giving creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday party. Let me go ahead and stop generating there. And then the third and final one is how do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript? And this is one that will give you example code. And so we will be diving into coding with ChatGPT along with many more things in the duration of this course. I'll be adding to it often as well. So always feel free to provide comments to me or message me with what you'd like to learn in ChatGPT. I'll add that to this course as well. What's nice about code generation inside of ChatGPT, it does give you that inside of a code box that you can then copy to your clipboard by clicking the copy link at the top right. And that way you can paste that into a text editor or integrated development environment or however you may wish. A few other things to note here is that you can upgrade to ChatGPT Plus by clicking here. ChatGPT Plus is a paid subscription model that is provided by OpenAI. And this provides three main primary functions, and that would be available even when demand is high. So you won't experience lack of availability, which is a problem with ChatGPT Free, which you've got the current free plan here. And then also on the right, it has a faster response speed. I've done videos with speed tests comparing Plus to free, and it is indeed faster. And then as well, priority access to new features. And I am a Plus subscriber. I can attest that I've gotten priority access to new features as well. But please note that you don't have to subscribe to ChatGPT Plus in order to complete this course. You may see me demonstrating some things in Plus if the free side of things is unavailable at the time of this recording. So a few other things in the interface beyond the examples would be the capabilities of ChatGPT. It does remember what the user said earlier in the conversation. That's very powerful by way of accessing previous chat history as well and continuing on. And it allows you to provide follow-up corrections, and this way you can guide ChatGPT. And this has to do with prompt engineering and design. I've got a section on that in this course as well. And also it's important to note that ChatGPT is trained to decline inappropriate requests. And then on the limitations side, it may occasionally generate incorrect information. So as always, you want to verify that which is being generated by ChatGPT. Don't take everything at face value and be sure that it is correct information. And then as well, it may occasionally produce harmful instructions or biased content. And then finally, limited knowledge of the world and world events. And there's a cutoff date of its knowledge of 2021. So there's some ways to work around that. We will brush up against those limitations in this course as well. And I'll also provide feedback on how you can get around that. And then a few other notes here. You can always see what version of ChatGPT you're on by clicking the link down below. This, at the time of this recording, is the February 13th release, and that's how you can access the release notes. I'm going to challenge you to get hands-on with ChatGPT and create your own memorable and unique prompt. And perhaps this will be your first ChatGPT prompt. So first, let's go over what a prompt or a query is in ChatGPT. A prompt, also commonly referred to as a query, is a text input that you send to ChatGPT's model, and the model will generate a response based on that input. Let's get started with creating your own prompt, and I encourage you to think outside the box and make your prompt memorable and unique. So let's imagine a scenario where you use ChatGPT to gather information about the town in which you were born and significant events that took place around the time of your birth. What do you want to know about the town and the events that took place around that time? Maybe you want to know about the major events that shaped the town, the most popular businesses, or the notable people who live there. Once you have an idea of what you want to know, go ahead and create your prompt in your ChatGPT account. Remember to follow along with the demo in your own account for a more hands-on experience. All right, so I put in the prompt here. Tell me more about Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1985. I was not born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, nor was I born in 1985. It may have been a few years before that. But I'm asking it as well, what were the notable events that occurred there during that time? So let's enter that in and see what it comes back with. And so here ChatGPT is telling some information around the Tulsa International Airport in this instance, as well as the Tulsa Zoo. And so bear in mind with your own time of birth and location, this will of course vary or be different, but the purpose behind this is to be sure that it's notable to you and of interest, in this being one of your first, if not your first, ChatGPT query as well, or prompt. And so then whenever we're done, we see the title here in our chat history. And then it gives a summation here after several notable events. And so you may be wondering at this point, how did they do that? Let's dive into that in the next lesson. We're going to attempt to answer the question, how did they do that? And explore how ChatGPT actually works. ChatGPT is a language model developed by OpenAI that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to generate human-like responses to text inputs. The model has been trained on a massive data set of text and has learned to generate responses that are similar to how humans would respond in a given context. Now, artificial intelligence refers to the development of computer systems that perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. That'd be such as recognizing patterns, making decisions, and solving problems. Machine learning, on the other hand, is a type of artificial intelligence that allows a computer to learn from data without being explicitly programmed. In other words, the computer is able to identify patterns in the data and use that information to make predictions about future data. The model is trained using a machine learning algorithm, which is a type of neural network. This network is designed to process sequential data such as text, and it has revolutionized the field of natural language processing, which is also sometimes referred to as NLP. This transformer network is composed of several components, which allows the network to focus on different parts of the input text when generating the response, giving it the ability to understand the context and generate more meaningful responses. Now, for more details on the ins and outs of ChatGPT's inner workings, I encourage you to explore ChatGPT's online help. I'll link to that in the resources section. And here you can get an in-depth overview of ChatGPT's key concepts, quick start, and much more. Now we're going to dive into the world of prompt design and engineering and show you how to get the most out of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a powerful language model, but in order to get the best results, it's important to craft effective prompts that are clear, concise, and provide enough context for ChatGPT to generate accurate responses for you. So here are some key tips and strategies to keep in mind. First of all, you want to be clear and specific. Clearly state the task or question you want ChatGPT to answer or complete. Next, you'll want to provide context. If your prompt is part of a larger conversation or scenario, provide enough context so that ChatGPT can understand the situation. Third piece of advice for you would be to keep it concise. Long and complex prompts can be difficult for ChatGPT to understand, so try to keep them as concise as possible. My fourth tip for you is to use proper grammar and punctuation. ChatGPT is a language model, so it is important to use proper grammar and punctuation in your prompts to ensure that ChatGPT generates accurate responses for you. Fifth bit of advice for you would be to avoid leading. This would be to try to avoid leading or biasing the model by providing too much information on the topic or constraining the possibilities of the answer that ChatGPT provides. And then finally, test and refine. This is where you would test your prompt with ChatGPT and refine it as needed to get the best results. To take your prompt design and engineering to the next level, I recommend the concept of a prompt wheel. This prompt wheel approach is inspired by two things: my last name of Wheeler and the stages of continual improvement, which would be plan, do, check, and act. These are well-established stages commonly referred to as the PDCA cycle. Relating these stages to prompt design in ChatGPT would translate to the following scenario of starting with an initial prompt, followed by a response from ChatGPT, refinement and further context, and then follow-up response, and so on. By using this prompt wheel concept and taking your prompt through several revolutions, you can continually refine and improve the quality of your prompts over time, resulting in more fully enriched and helpful conversations between yourself and ChatGPT. And remember that you can always revisit past chats and pick up where you left off in the history. This allows for further reflection and time to improve the conversation and your prompting skills. All right, so it's time to do a speed test between ChatGPT and the new ChatGPT Plus. One of the selling points of ChatGPT Plus is that it provides a faster response speed. So in this video, I'm going to be putting that to the test and comparing side by side ChatGPT versus ChatGPT Plus. And for these prompts, I'm going to use the examples that they provide and try and hit send as close to the same time as possible. And I will click send on ChatGPT first, followed by ChatGPT Plus. And I'll just work through all three of these and we'll see what comes out in the end and declare a winner and a loser. First example, explain quantum computing in simple terms. Let's go. All right, so we have a winner here is ChatGPT Plus, won the first race with quantum computing, and it takes a while for the prompt summation or title to appear here in the menu. And these are two different browsers logged into two different accounts, by the way. All right, so next attempt, doing a new chat here in both browsers. And once again, ChatGPT Plus on the right, Non Plus on the left. Second prompt is, got any creative ideas for a 10-year-old's birthday party? And if you've been on ChatGPT for any time at all, you're familiar with these examples. Let's go. And ChatGPT is out ahead, but let's see if Plus can lap the field and finish first. This one's a lot closer. And Plus has won yet again. This time is a lot closer. And it may be interesting as well for you to check out the suggestions on both sides. ChatGPT Plus is being a little more verbose and creative, it looks like, with such ideas as a virtual party with video conferencing platform, and as well a mention of geocaching, whereas the non-Plus side is a little more basic in nature. So let's do one more new chat on both sides for the third and final speed test. And for this one, the prompt is, how do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript? Let's go once again. And once again, non-Plus started out of the gate first, partially because I'm clicking send first, but it looks like Plus has taken the lead and has finished and has the prompt title at the top. And non-Plus is still working on the new chat. So you can tell once it's done whenever, especially the summation or the title of the prompt, the subject of the prompt appears at the top. And with code, I've really noticed non-Plus is a lot slower. And interestingly, the non-Plus side was more verbose with this answer. And so that could be one reason why it took longer, is because it provided more information. The Plus side, ChatGPT Plus, gave a more concise answer, just giving an example piece of code here. And these appear to be the same left to right. And as a reminder, these are two different accounts that I'm logged into. But this gives a numbered list with more details as well. And there's some other slight variations between the two here. But then on the non-Plus side, it's saying as well to use a library such as Axios or jQuery, and gives you an example of Axios code before it finishes up. So definitely an interesting experiment. From the speed perspective, ChatGPT Plus definitely wins. And so I would say faster response speed is definitely a plus on the Plus side compared to regular and free ChatGPT. As far as available, even when demand is high, I've not had any issues with ChatGPT Plus being down, and don't know what access to new features I'm enjoying currently, but I'm sure they will send me a nice email or release note if and when they do roll out new features. So if you're needing fast responses and availability, consider ChatGPT Plus, and let me know down in the comments what you think about this speed test and ChatGPT Plus. So OpenAI provides a great documentation set as well as example applications and an API playground. This is all available at platform.openai.com. I'll link to this in the resources section. You start off here when you go to platform.openai.com with an overview section, and this gives you quick start tutorials and some examples you can build as far as for example tasks, and then some applications for ChatGPT. And clicking on one of these will take you into the documentation. You notice we're now in the documentation section, and you can work through some of these different examples here, such as on the one that I'm on is text completion, and it gives you more details on prompt design as well. And be sure and work through some of this as far as the introduction. There's also a quick start tutorial. It takes you through the process of interacting with ChatGPT in the context of the documentation. And here's a sample prompt. Suggest one name for a horse, and you can click to generate, and this gives you then a response. And that response would be lightning, and then a follow-up response, or a better prompt might be suggest one name for a black horse. You can generate that and it gives you the name Midnight for a black horse. And then you can add other examples here and adjust your settings. Now, there's concepts behind the scenes for things such as temperature settings, and there's also 4 different models that are provided that you can use with ChatGPT, and that would be inside of what is known as the playground. So let me click over to the playground here, and the 4 different models are DaVinci, Curie, Babbage, and Ada. And also you'll notice that there's different version numbers for each of these. These may vary over time, but you can hover over these and read more about the different language models such as DaVinci. It is the most capable and the most powerful of the 4 models, but it has different strengths that you'll notice here down below, such as complex intent, cause and effect, creative generation, search, summarization for audience. Now others such as Curie has strength of language translation, and Babbage would be moderate classification, semantic search, and then Ada would be parsing text and simple classification, address correction, and keywords. And then as well, temperature setting has to do with control of randomness, and so you can always adjust this accordingly and experiment. So here, for example, we could put in a sample prompt, and you can always access the playground as another option if ChatGPT free is unavailable. So I'm going to give a basic prompt here, and in this prompt inside of the playground, I'm asking it to give me a product description for an electric vehicle and taking the defaults of the DaVinci model and the temperature of 0.7. Also a maximum length of 256. This is the maximum number of tokens to generate. And a note on tokens is the more tokens you use, the more that may end up costing. You do have free credit to use the playground for a certain amount per month, and then at some point you may need to enter in billing information, and you can get more details on the maximum length details here, but roughly 1 token equals about 4 characters for normal English text. So for example, a 1,000 character paragraph would be about 750 tokens, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and submit this with the defaults though, and see what the response is. So here is a paragraph that's giving me as far as a product description for an electric vehicle. And so now what I could do is I could change the model to something a little more basic, such as Ada, and then I could submit again. So I could clear this out, and then I could submit again, and that's a little bit shorter and a little more basic in nature as well. So feel free to experiment with the playground and get more familiar with the different models available, and also you'll find information on the different models inside of the documentation under the models section. This gives you details around the strengths of each of the models, as well as the max request and the training data up to whatever date it may be. And you notice that the cutoff date is older for some of the other models, such as Curie, Babbage, and Ada as well. And then finally, there are examples that you can experiment with as well, such as a Q&A example. And you can open this in the playground by clicking here. And this takes you to the playground with this particular prompt. And so this will give you an example prompt and questions and answers, as well as the API request, actual code that you can use to connect with the API. And here are other examples you could do, such as summarizing for a second grader, grammar correction, SQL translate, and more. And so there's a lot that you can explore in the playground and in the examples and documentation for OpenAI by way of platform.openai.com. With the increasing capabilities of AI as represented by ChatGPT, it's opened up a lot of ethical concerns and debates around plagiarism and also leveraging ChatGPT for the writing of term papers, for example. And as these systems grow more complex, you have educators who are questioning their traditional approach to curriculum and testing. And so these systems such as ChatGPT can generate content that is often indistinguishable from human-generated content. So with this outcry and concern coming from especially the academic community, OpenAI has released their own AI text classifier. I will link to this in the resources section as well. This way you can actually paste in text and have it determine if it was likely written by AI or not. You can also see examples of human written text, AI generated, and then also misclassified human written text as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out this box here, and then I'm going to generate something inside of ChatGPT, and then I'll put it in the text classifier to see if it identifies it appropriately as being written by AI. So I'm just going to use one of the sample prompts here, such as explain quantum computing in simple terms, and submit that, and then wait for this response to fill in. Then I'll copy and paste that and into the text classifier, and we'll see what the result or the verdict is. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all this and copy it, and you'll note as well, you always know when it's done generating. Whenever the stop generating message disappears, it says regenerate response, and when it also fills in the title for that chat in the chat history. So I've copied these 2 paragraphs to my clipboard. I'm going to paste them into the AI text classifier, and then I'll submit this and see what the result is. And now it's saying please enter at least 1,000 characters. Your current document is only 733 characters. So that is an important note. that you do need to have at least 1,000 characters to give it enough to work with. So I'm going to return here and do a follow-up prompt and ask it to please rewrite in a more verbose fashion and to give me at least 1,000 words. So my prompt or my follow-up prompt here would be to please rewrite your response to be more verbose and to include at least 1,000 characters. So I'll submit that and we'll see if it succeeds in giving us what we need here. All right, so it's done generating. So I'm going to copy all this to my clipboard. And this is definitely over 1,000 characters in length. I'll revisit the AI text classifier, clear out the old and put in the new by pasting off of my clipboard and then submit. And so here it's saying that the classifier considers the text to be unclear if it is AI generated or not. And so you can experiment with this. It would be a good idea if you're wanting to use ChatGPT to create something important such as a term paper that you not just let it write it entirely for you. Also being aware that institutions have tools such as this as to detecting the use of ChatGPT. It's always a good idea to rewrite this in your own tone and voice, etc., and not just use ChatGPT entirely. But this is a great starting point that you could then tweak to meet your own specific needs. So keep in mind the text classifier for being able to determine any block of text, 1,000 characters or more, if it's potentially human written or AI generated or somewhere in between. One major investor for OpenAI is that of Microsoft, and they're looking to monetize their investment towards OpenAI and specifically ChatGPT by integrating ChatGPT into their Microsoft Bing search engine. So you can go to bing.com and see ChatGPT integrated here by searching or trying some of the examples that they give you here on this screen. And so, for example, you could do a prompt or try a prompt that says arts and crafts ideas with instructions for a toddler using only cardboard boxes, plastic bottles, paper, and string. So I'm going to select to try it, and that puts in the prompt there. Has the regular search results that you would find inside of Bing, but then also you've got ChatGPT here to the side, and the prompts also to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down depending on what you think of the response from ChatGPT inside of Bing. And here are some arts and craft ideas for a toddler using only cardboard boxes, plastic bottles, paper, and string. You can make a cardboard box guitar. You can make a plastic bottle bird feeder. You can make plastic bottle flowers, etc. Now, a few things to note is that it also provides you links to other websites where you can learn more around some of those arts and crafts ideas. And then you could do further chat prompts here. And here's some examples. Show me more crafts with cardboard boxes or with plastic bottles or paper and string. And then as well, you can chat or enter into chat mode. Now, I am on the wait list here as far as accessing the new Bing. I've not been accepted in yet. And so if you do try to chat without being past the wait list and into the new Bing, then you'll be prompted saying that the chat mode is only available when you have access to the new Bing. And there are ways that you can access Bing faster, such as setting Microsoft defaults for your computer, as well as scanning the QR code to install the Microsoft Bing app. And so once you've done those, that moves you closer up to the front of the line. And so keep in mind that you can always access Bing for ChatGPT and experiment with it, especially once you get to the new Bing. And also you can see links for examples as well that you can try out. And then other links here for learn more. You will find beyond the examples that we were just looking at, you can also see details around the features related to ChatGPT inside of Bing. And once again, getting faster access link here, and also an FAQ for frequently asked questions regarding this new Bing feature of ChatGPT integration. We briefly looked at the Discord community for OpenAI and ChatGPT. I want to take you through the process of completing verification. So if you want to follow along and do likewise, you can join this community as well and get some helpful tips and starting points and read up on what others are doing on ChatGPT as well. So I'm going to click on complete here at the top, and you need to read through the rules and agree to the rules that you'll adhere to the Discord and OpenAI's terms and policies. This is as well an English only server, and there's a lot of other information around keeping the content G-rated, stay on topic, no spamming, etc., etc. Leave it to you to follow the links to read all of this. Once you've read and agree to the rules, you can click the checkbox, click submit. You are then able to click verify under verification required. And here I've got to type in the CAPTCHA below to be able to access this server. It's ironic how we spend more and more time and effort proving that we're not a machine so that we can learn how to use a machine. Clicking submit, I've passed the verification successfully, and so now I can access OpenAI on the Discord server. And here you've got different sections around welcome and announcements, as well as new releases. And I'm going to go to the ChatGPT discussions, and you can see the latest discussions going on here related to ChatGPT, people's feedback and thoughts, perhaps some things that they've tried. Here's some examples of some things that people have done. And here's just one example from someone named Syndicate. I actually can hear the beat explain Terraform in rap style, and gives you a screenshot of ChatGPT explaining Terraform in the style of rap, and it's giving you a lot of rhymes here, so you could always create lyrics as well. So we'll be looking at, throughout the duration of this course, approaches to doing things such as song lyrics, marketing copy, how you can create stories, copywriting, and more around persons, places, and things. You'll also find examples here in the Discord of some things that it struggles with. Here's someone saying, is it me or the AI getting dumb? When I was 6, my brother is half my age. Now I'm 30. How old is my brother? And the answer didn't quite get what Necroxus was after here, for example. So you can connect with others as well inside of the Discord here. You can also look at suggestions and bugs and a lot more. I'll leave it to you to explore the Discord further and get familiar with that. I want to get back into ChatGPT, start a new thread, and I'll see you in the next section where we start to explore content around people, and that will be the next section of this course. An essential skill for everyone is that of communication, and that is exactly what this second section of this course is all about, using ChatGPT to communicate effectively. You'll find that the one near universal requirement across almost every job description is communication. To be understood and to be truly heard is vital in life, whether on the job or in our interpersonal relationships. Frankly, your ability to communicate works as a type of governor to your full potential. Your ability to express yourself in written and spoken form is crucial to your success. In this section, we're going to dive into how you can use ChatGPT to give you an almost immediate boost to your communication skills. While ChatGPT can write virtually anything for you, your ability to design effective prompts and improve them using the prompt wheel will elicit increasingly accurate and insightful responses from ChatGPT. And as always, you will want to review that which ChatGPT produces, never taking a response to your prompt at face value. It is your logic and reasoning and human touch that is needed in leveraging tools such as ChatGPT to boost your communication. It will be up to you to refine and hone those responses to make them truly your own, giving them your own unique voice. Together, we will explore using ChatGPT for communication in its various forms in this section, and by the end of this section of this course, you will have a comprehensive understanding of how to use ChatGPT to communicate effectively. You'll be able to write emails, social media posts, and blog posts with ease. And you'll have a solid understanding of how to use ChatGPT to even optimize your content for search engines. We'll be covering a wide range of topics and applications for ChatGPT, and also by the end of this section, you'll have a full comprehensive understanding of how to use ChatGPT to communicate very effectively. So let's get started. There are a multitude of options when it comes to emails. Let's ask ChatGPT for a list of types of emails that it can help us to write. So let me share my screen. And so I've prompted ChatGPT to give me a list of 20 different types of emails that ChatGPT can help me to write. So let me go ahead and click send on that, and let's see a list of the types of emails that ChatGPT can write for us. And so you've got a wide variety here, and it can do more than 20 different kinds. I just limited it to 20. And here we have examples of some of those types of emails, such as business proposal emails, sales emails, survey emails, and much more. So from this list, I encourage you to select at least one or two that interest you the most. From there, simply ask ChatGPT to give you an example email from the list. And for me, the compromise email one is one that I find challenging to write. So here I will prompt ChatGPT to give me an example of a compromise email. And so you'll notice that ChatGPT can author emails for you, and it gives a placeholder here in the verbiage of this email saying, "Dear client, I wanted to follow up on our recent discussion regarding the marketing campaign for your new product launch," and then it goes on from there. It's quite lengthy in nature, and ChatGPT does a very good job of writing a realistic sounding compromise email in this example. And this is just one of the 20 that I selected from the list. And I do encourage you to find some in the list on your own instance of ChatGPT and follow along and try out different responses from ChatGPT for different types of emails there. Then it rounds things out with the final paragraph here, such as, I hope this compromise addresses your concerns and demonstrates my commitment to finding a solution that works for both of us. And then it continues on from there and then signs off with best regards, your name. So as always, you always want to not just copy and paste this, but you want to rewrite this from your own perspective, add some further nuance and flavor, and be sure and replace these placeholders, of course, with your own actual name. Quite obvious, but perhaps not so much. So here's another possible approach for an email out of ChatGPT, and here I will prompt something a little more complex than our last example. And here I am prompting to give me an example of a newsletter email, provide some fake data that could be represented in a table with roughly 5 rows and 5 columns inside the body of this email. So let me hit enter or click the send icon. And scrolling down here, we've got an example newsletter. It has a subject line as well. Dear subscriber, we're excited to share with you the latest news and updates from our company. Now remember, I asked it or prompted it to also give me some fake data inside of a table. So this is just to demonstrate that ChatGPT can do more than just plain text at this time. It can also represent data inside of tables. And this is giving us a product, the units sold, and the revenue amounts in this table, and then other numbered list items here in the newsletter, and then a final sign off. So let's do another email type, and let's see if we can get ChatGPT to insert emojis into an email. That might be interesting to see. All right, so I've prompted, give me an example welcome email complete with several emojis. And so I'm going to send that. And here's an example welcome email complete with several emojis. And even in the subject line, it's got the clapping hands and some other emojis there. Dear new member, continues on with other emojis and clapping hands, magnifying glass, and then a chat bubble for engage, calendar for upcoming events, and then giveaways with a little, I'm not sure what that is, but some sort of prize emoji, and then a sign off there as well. By the way, did you know that you can also give ChatGPT the name of your company so that it can remember it and include it in future emails instead of a placeholder? Simply enter in my company name is, and then whatever the company name is in the prompt, and ChatGPT will remember it for future use. This way, you can save time and effort in typing out the name every time you need it in your emails, so you can give it a try. And so in this next prompt, I'm going to rewrite this, and let me share my screen again. And so here in this fictional scenario, I'm going to say that my company name is XYZ Corp. And so I'm asking ChatGPT to please rewrite the welcome email, and my company name is XYZ Corp. And let me send that. And now it'll go through the process of rewriting that for us. And here you see, instead of the company name placeholder, is now saying welcome to the XYZ Corp community. Also the emojis there as well. So as you can see, the possibilities are indeed endless. And leveraging ChatGPT for helping you write emails will boost your productivity so you spend more time getting work done as opposed to struggling to find just the right words. All right, so in this lesson, we'll be exploring the use of ChatGPT for creating ideas. And so I've got a prompt here on my screen that I want to share with you here, and I'm asking ChatGPT to generate 10 ideas for a new marketing campaign. Let me click send on that and see what we get in response from ChatGPT. And these would be different marketing campaign ideas, okay? And so we are about halfway through the list here. We've got influencer campaign, social media contest, referral program, and much more. I'm going to let that kind of churn in the background as I continue to approach this and take this a bit deeper. I encourage you to review this generated list of ideas and select the ones that you find the most interesting. You always know as well, as a reminder, whenever it's done generating, when you see the title in the chat history here. So you can refine the selected ideas by asking ChatGPT to provide more information or suggestions. For example, here's another follow-up prompt that I could give, such as, can you provide more details on the idea of hosting a virtual event? And in my instance, virtual event was one of the 10, so I'm doing a further refinement. I encourage you to do the same with one that interests you. And here, ChatGPT is answering in the affirmative, certainly. And here are some details on hosting a virtual event. Choose the right platform, list several there. Set clear goals, plan your content, promote your event, engage with your audience, follow up after the event, and then a summation there. And as always, with any of these key points in response from ChatGPT, you can always explore those concepts further by providing follow-up prompts to find out more details around whatever it is that you may not be aware of, such as the different platforms for hosting virtual events if you don't know much about Zoom or WebEx, etc. And then as well, setting clear goals. You may need help refining and processing that sort of information, so you can always follow through and dive deeper on any of these key points. So repeat the process of refining these ideas until you have a clear and well-defined concept, and use the generated ideas as a starting point for your project and continue to refine and develop them further. And remember to provide clear and specific prompts and to provide enough context so that ChatGPT can understand the situation. Try to keep your prompts concise and use proper grammar and punctuation. All right, so in this lesson, we're going to be discussing the use of ChatGPT for creating social media posts. And so I want to share my screen. I've got several different prompts I want to share with you. And as always, you can reference this chat library in the resources section as well of this course. So first of all, my first prompt, I'm asking ChatGPT to write a LinkedIn post about a recent industry event that I attended. The event was CES, and it was focused on consumer electronics. I learned about AI. I'm just giving a quick summary of what the conference was about and asking it to write something in the style of a LinkedIn post. So let me go ahead and send that. Let's see what we come away with. And so here this is writing in the voice of someone that attended CES. I recently had the opportunity to attend CES, one of the most highly anticipated events in the world of consumer electronics. And then it goes on from there as a technology enthusiast, blah, blah, blah. And then it starts to go into the artificial intelligence side of things because I included that in my prompt as well. One of the key takeaways from CES was the importance of understanding the ethical implications of AI, and then more around that concept. And then overall, attending CES was an incredibly enriching experience, and then it rounds things out with a concluding sentence in the paragraph there. And so one thing you'll notice when dealing with social networks is that depending on your audience, you may approach the writing of prompts differently. If you're wanting something on TikTok, it may be different than LinkedIn versus Twitter or Facebook, for example. And so let me do another follow-up prompt here, or another new prompt, I should say. I'm going to do a new chat here. Let me share my screen. And here, I'll take this up a level as well. You may even struggle with knowing what to write about on certain social media platforms. And so I'm asking it to give me 10 title ideas for engaging Facebook posts. This is once again harkening back to the previous lesson about ChatGPT being your idea machine. This can generate ideas for social media posts as well. With here, the platform would be that of Facebook, and here's some examples such as 5 surprising benefits of practicing mindfulness every day, 10 hacks for saving money and living a more frugal life, all the way down to number 10 as mastering the art of productivity, tips and tricks for getting more done in less time. And so it's important to realize and note as well that if you enter in the same prompt that I do, you will likely get different responses. And even if I were to regenerate the response, I may get different responses from ChatGPT. It does remember the context and the setting and the situation, but it can give you different responses than what you'll see here. Now, you may want to do a follow-up prompt and ask it to write a post around one of those posts. And so let me give you an example of that. And remembering that context, I can refer to it by its number in the list here. So I'm asking it to write a Facebook post for title number 10 that I provided previously in the list, which was Mastering the Art of Productivity. And here would be that post as it's writing that out. Now, as you can tell, this is somewhat verbose, and you could even take it further. In the next lesson, we'll look at writing full-blown articles such as blog articles. But some platforms have a smaller number of characters that you can use. One traditional example would be that of Twitter. So I want to do a prompt around how to write a good Twitter post. And I'll go ahead and click New Chat here, and then I will put in much the same as we did with the Facebook prompt. Give me 10 topic ideas for engaging Twitter posts. Let me submit that, and then this will give me a list. And then I can do a follow-up as well, much like I did with the Facebook ideas. I can do the same with Twitter and have it write tweets for me as well. And so here are 10 different topic ideas, such as memes or GIFs, inspirational quotes, polls and surveys, live tweeting, how-to guides, behind-the-scenes content, and more as that continues on. And then if you decide to have a follow-up prompt for one of these tweets in particular, you can ask it to write a tweet for you. And so here, for example, I may want to dive deeper into tweet idea number 7, and I could do a prompt such as write a tweet for number 7 from this list, and that would be infographics. Let's get a tweet written related to that. And so that tweet would be, did you know that 90% of consumers prefer custom content from brands. Stay ahead of the game and create engaging infographics to showcase your expertise and connect with your audience. And then it rounds things out with several hashtags as well. So it's helpful in even coming up with hashtags for the Twitter platform, such as hashtag marketing tips, as well as hashtag content creation, and finally hashtag infographics. And so now let's take this concept a level deeper, and we've seen the concept of using ChatGPT to generate ideas and even write Facebook posts and even tweets for us as well. But now it's time for us to dive deeper by using ChatGPT to write full-blown blog articles. We'll do that in the next lesson. All right, so let's use ChatGPT to write blog post articles for us, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen and I've got a prompt filled in here. And so I wanna start off with getting some ideas for some blog article titles, much like we did with Facebook and Twitter titles as well. So I have in the prompt here to give me 10 blog post article titles about ChatGPT. And so then from here, I can decide which one of these I wanna work with further. And this is giving me an example of several different engaging articles titles that we could use. And so I'm going to do a follow-up prompt here, and let me paste this in. And I had a different title, but let's use one of these. I'm going to select the inner workings of ChatGPT, a deep dive into AI and natural language processing, or NLP. And I'm going to copy and paste that over my placeholder title, which is different in this list from the one that I had queued up previously. And so now write an engaging and thought-provoking article based on this blog post title, The Inner Workings of ChatGPT, a deep dive into AI and natural language processing. I guess I could have just instead said refer to title number 3. And then write this from the perspective of a productivity consultant and devote a paragraph each to how ChatGPT can be used to integrate into the respective workflows for marketing, sales, and service. So this is providing a pretty in-depth context here of what the goals of this article should be, and also being mindful that for this to be considered a successful article by ChatGPT, it needs to also address the workflows related to marketing, sales, and service, which are what I call the 3 fundamentals of any business, okay? So here we've got our article being written, and it's really hitting right on the nose here. As a productivity consultant, I have seen firsthand how business, and it goes on from there. I did ask it to write from the perspective of a productivity consultant. And so this is a good example of how you may want to further hone this or refine this so it's not so on the nose at the very start here. And then from there, it's telling details about ChatGPT as a language model developed by OpenAI. And then it's starting to get into the workflow requests that I had as far as marketing from the beginning. And also the sequence of these was very strategic on my part. And this has to do with the business to business or business to consumer relationship life cycle of marketing, sales, and service. It usually happens in that sequence. So we're starting off with marketing first of all, and then it gets into the sales workflows, and you're getting into lead generation and prospecting and nurturing those leads and then converting them over. And then once you've converted them over to a client, you've done some business with them, then you're wanting to retain them as a customer. That's where you get into the customer service workflows here in this article. And ChatGPT can be used to automate responses to common inquiries and provide real-time support to customers. And so you'll see in these different paragraphs here that it's giving some specific details as to how ChatGPT can help not only with customer service, but also sales and marketing as well. And then overall, the summation here, the final paragraph, is that it's saying by integrating ChatGPT into their workflows, businesses can automate routine tasks, improve response times, and more. And so you'll find that ChatGPT can write very engaging articles for you. And I encourage you to do the same in your own ChatGPT account. So you can start off by generating a list of blog article titles and select one for further refinement using ChatGPT. Now in the next lesson, we'll use ChatGPT for search engine purposes so that search engines take notice of your articles that you write. So I'll see you there. All right, in this lesson, we'll be discussing the use of ChatGPT for optimizing your content for search engines. This is often referred to as search engine optimization or SEO. And we will pick up where we left off previously with our blog post that ChatGPT wrote for us. So let me share my screen. I have a prompt asking to give me a list of tags to include for SEO purposes, and also a good meta description for that article you just wrote for me. So I'm referring to the article just in the previous lesson there. So here it's starting off with different tags that we could tag the article with, and that is one key piece of search engine optimization would be that of the tagging. And it's noticing here it's recommending that you tag for ChatGPT, AI language models, and much more. And then the meta description for this article is giving it a description of discover how ChatGPT and AI language model can revolutionize workflows in marketing, sales, and customer service. And so remember that whole sequence or cadence of marketing, sales, and service. Just pick that up and to summarize that article in this meta description. And this is what would appear in search engines along with that article in the results that appear there. And then also to learn how ChatGPT's natural language processing capabilities can streamline tasks, improve response times, and provide personalized attention to customers. Remember, we were talking about the workflow enhancements for marketing, sales, and services. So it's encapsulating that in this description as well. And then exploring those possibilities of workflow integration and productivity consulting with ChatGPT. Now, let me do a follow-up prompt here. And here in this follow-up, I want to ask ChatGPT to give me 3 image ideas that I could insert into this article, as well as the alt text for each of these images. Now, alt text is known as alternative text, and it is a description in text form of what appears with images. It helps search engines to categorize and index images and to know what those images are of. And so now let me go ahead and send that, and this is going to then generate image ideas that I can insert into that article, and I could find those on stock image websites, for example, or go out and take these images. And at the time of this recording, ChatGPT does not provide imagery. There is rumor that that is coming soon with the release of GPT-4. Stay tuned on that. As soon as that releases, I'll be updating this course as always. Now here are the 3 examples, such as an image of a person typing on a computer with a ChatGPT chat box in the corner of the screen. And then also that alt text is provided as well. And there's given the description inside of the quotes. Second one would be the image of a sales funnel. And the third would be an image of a customer support agent and a chat bot working together to provide support, as well as the accompanying alt text there as well. You could further prompt asking to give those details inside of a table. On the left would be the image description. On the right could be the alternative text or alt text, but we'll just move on from there. And let me do another follow-up prompt to take this further with SEO inside of ChatGPT. This next follow-up prompt, let me go ahead and put that in the box there. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to rewrite the previous blog article that it wrote for me and to insert their recommended images as placeholders in the article along with the alternative text for those images. Also provide me with headers to sprinkle through my article along with the title text for each of those headers. And so here I'm going to submit that, and the title text would be another thing that's kind of behind the scenes in the HTML of a blog article. But it's going to write that for me, and also, oh, by the way, it can do header text as well. Now here's the broken image, but it's referring to that image that it's recommending, and it gives the alternative text there as well. So that can really help to stand out where those images are recommended to be placed by ChatGPT as well. And so you notice that this is beginning to look a lot more like an actual article here being rounded out. And then one other thing to note is you could follow up on these image recommendations by feeding these prompts or these descriptions into OpenAI's image generation AI tool known as DALL-E2, or search for something that fits the bill on a stock image marketplace. And really, we've just scratched the surface. We have gone from social media posts, things short such as a tweet or a Facebook post, to now a more full-blown blog article complete with headers and images. So indeed, we have used ChatGPT to create a fair amount of content. But you might be wondering, could ChatGPT be used to write a book? Let's explore that possibility starting in the next lesson. Since ChatGPT can be your idea machine, it can do amazing things such as creating a book outline for you. So here is an example prompt for a book I may write one day, and I may ask for ChatGPT for just a little bit of help. So I happen to own the domain name employeementality.com, and so let's say I decided to create a book on the topic of using AI and ChatGPT specifically for career advancement. I might prompt something along the lines here. Let me share my screen. All right, so I've put in the prompt here to give me a sample book outline of 10 to 12 chapter titles that might be found in a book about AI and ChatGPT for career advancement. The title of the book should be Employee Mentality, and also come up with a snappy subtitle. So let me go ahead and click send to send that. and see what ChatGPT comes up with for me. And so here it's giving me the title, Employmentality, and then as well as in the title, How AI and ChatGPT Can Boost Your Career. Subtitle is From Job Hunting to Promotion, How to Use AI to Succeed in the Workplace. And then we've got several different chapters outlined here. Chapter 1, Introduction to AI and ChatGPT in the Workforce. Also gives a couple of bullet points for each of the chapters as well. Those would be things that would be covered in that particular chapter. And these are recommendations by ChatGPT. Chapter 2, Using ChatGPT for Job Hunting. And then it goes all the way down through to Chapter 12, Conclusion and Next Steps. And so as you can see, ChatGPT can give me a starting point or frame of reference by way of this outline that is provided. So then rather than just copying my prompt about my employmentality book idea, you can use ChatGPT to come up with your own ideas. Or perhaps you already have a book idea lurking inside of yourself. So you can prompt ChatGPT the details of your own book idea. For those of you that don't have a book idea in mind, here's a prompt you can use to get a list of book ideas. Perhaps one of these will speak to you and capture your fancy. So let me share my screen once again. And so I've prompted to give me 10 book titles and subtitle examples. These need to be fictional and not exist. Make each of the titles in a different genre or category. So let me go ahead and submit that. And so here are 10 fictional book titles with their respective subtitles as well. And so there's some different examples such as The Lost City of Atlantis, an epic fantasy adventure. That would be the genre for that particular book. And then others would be The Seventh Sense, a mind-bending science fiction tale. That's an interesting title. And then rounding out the final of the 10 would be The World Beyond, a post-apocalyptic adventure. And so you could always prompt for fiction or even nonfiction titles. I just happened to choose to prompt for fiction titles. Let me give another example where we'll ask for some nonfiction titles. All right, so prompting for non-fictional titles, but these are books that do not exist. And these would be examples of nonfiction books that you could write, such as The Power of Intention, Practical Strategies for Achieving Your Goals, Brain Hack, Science-Backed Strategies for Boosting Cognitive Function, The Art of Productivity, Proven Techniques for Getting More Done in Less Time, and The Healing Power of Nature, A Guide to Natural Remedies for Common Ailments, and more. So that was an example of 10. You could ask for even more if you don't like any of those. All right, so once you've identified a book title, whether that's fictional or non-fictional, if you find one that you want to explore further, you can then ask ChatGPT to give you a book outline for whichever one of those interests you particularly. I do encourage you to get hands-on and follow along and get your own book outline with the list of chapters from ChatGPT so that you can dive deeper with me into a specific chapter in the next lesson. So let's turn the page and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right, so from the previous lesson, I leveraged ChatGPT to give me several chapters for my own employmentality book I did. And hopefully you've done likewise and have a list of chapters for your own book. And so I've identified chapter 3 from my list of chapters that I would like to explore further. So identify your own chapter you wish to dive deeper in, and the next step is asking ChatGPT to give you an outline for that chapter. So let me share my screen. I'll give you a couple of examples of that. All right, so here on my screen, I'm starting off with this nonfiction book title, and that was, and I've elected to explore chapter 3, The Art of Persuasion, Techniques for Influencing Others. I have a prompt here. Give me a chapter outline for chapter 3, The Art of Persuasion, Techniques for Influencing Others. All right, so I'm going to submit that, and we'll see what sort of outline we receive here. So chapter 3, the title once again, and then an introduction, a couple of bullet points here, such as the explanation of the importance of persuasion in various contexts such as sales, negotiations, and personal relationships, as well as an overview of the chapter's content that would then follow in section 1 of this chapter, Understanding the Psychology of Persuasion. A couple of bullet points there. Section 2 of the chapter would be Building Rapport and Establishing Trust. A couple of bullet points there, such as building rapport and establishing trust with others and tips for building credibility and expertise in the eyes of others. Section 3, Crafting a Persuasive Message, Techniques for Crafting a Persuasive Message, including attention-grabbing headlines, storytelling, and using humor, and tips for structuring the message in a way that appeals to the target audience. And then it continues on. Section 4, Overcoming Objections and Resistance. Section 5, Ethical Considerations in Persuasion. and then a conclusion, wrapping that up with a recap of the key points in the chapter, as well as a call to action for readers to apply the techniques and strategies discussed in the chapter in their personal and professional lives. So now I'm going to stay inside this context in this chat history and also ask for it to give me a chapter outline for my employmentality book, just to kind of reiterate or drive this home. And if I scroll back up in my chat history here, I do have the 12 chapters for the chapter outline here. And so we had for the employmentality book a rough outline with the 12 chapters listed and a couple of bullet points here. So I'm going to ask for chapter 3, ChatGPT for interview preparation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repaste in that prompt that I had previously, but instead of chapter 3, the art of persuasion for that nonfiction book, I want to reference this particular title, chapter 3, ChatGPT for interview preparation. And this is to demonstrate how you can approach outlining a chapter of a book and getting more details, and we'll see what ChatGPT comes up with for this particular book. And as it generates here, let's see what we have. And once again, the start of this chapter gives us an introduction and a couple of bullet points here. But here it's how artificial intelligence can be used to improve interview preparation, as well as then additionally the overview of the chapter's content. Let's see how many sections it gives us here. It looks like 5, and then a conclusion. I'm not going to read all of this, but just a brief overview, starting off with understanding the role of AI in interview preparation, creating interview scenarios with ChatGPT, practicing interview responses with ChatGPT, analyzing interview performance with ChatGPT, and then best practices for using ChatGPT for interview preparation. You'll see later on in this course, I do intend to do some lessons on these sort of topics as well. So be sure and look for that later on in this course as far as preparing for interviews using ChatGPT, but this would also be something that potentially I could put in a book. And then conclusion, recap of key points covered in the chapter, and then a call to action for readers to explore the use of ChatGPT for interview preparation and incorporate it into their job search process. So I've got a couple more prompts that I want to share with you to explore this further. And so for each of these particular bullet points in this outline, I could choose to ask ChatGPT to explore this further and to dive deeper on this. And so I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write the paragraphs for the strategies for creating realistic interview scenarios using ChatGPT. I'm going to put that in quotes so that it makes it clear that I'm referring to that particular section. And so then in the end, my prompt specifically is to write the paragraphs for the strategies for creating realistic interview scenarios using ChatGPT section. Let me send that, and I'll scroll to see that in action. You'll see that it's actually writing a first draft of this particular section of the chapter. And what I would recommend you do if you're having ChatGPT write a book for you or a chapter, to read through that and rewrite into your own voice, not just copy and paste here. And so I'll just leave this up on the screen for a moment as I speak to this, and you notice that there are 4 paragraphs related to this one bullet point from that outline. So as we revisit the outline, there's 2 bullet points per section, and in essence an introduction, and then 5 sections and a conclusion. So that's a total of 7 sections times 2 bullet points each, and that'd be 14 bullet points. And then we see that one of those bullet points has been expounded upon to represent 4 paragraphs. So in the end, you could have up to 50 plus paragraphs in this particular chapter. So as you can tell, using ChatGPT, you can get a really well fleshed out book outline, or as well a chapter, with just follow-up prompts for each of those different topics or bullet points. And so I do encourage you to follow along in your own instance, prompting with your own scenarios and chapters and outlines and bullet points, and read through that to see how close it is to something that you think you might write, and then make every effort to put that into your own voice. And then one final prompt is I want to draw your attention to this first paragraph here, and this has to do with creating realistic interview scenarios using ChatGPT. Sometimes you'll find authors that will leverage quotes or analogies to drive their point home. So I'm going to prompt asking ChatGPT to please provide me with either a famous quote or an analogy I could use to reinforce the first paragraph, which is having to do with those realistic interview scenarios. So let's see if ChatGPT can come up with something to help round that out. And so it does give me a quote from Benjamin Franklin, and the quote is, "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail," and then it gives an explanation as to how you could use that quote in the context of that paragraph. This quote emphasizes the importance of preparation in achieving success. Just as Benjamin Franklin believed that preparation was essential for success in any endeavor, It's important to prepare for job interviews by creating realistic interview scenarios using ChatGPT. By doing so, you can increase your chances of success and avoid the potential pitfalls of being unprepared. And so that is in conjunction with this first intro paragraph in this chapter outline here that has been fleshed out by ChatGPT. Much like how we leveraged the idea engine of ChatGPT for book ideas, let's now prompt it for YouTube video ideas. So here's a prompt you can use to get a list of ideas for your YouTube videos created for you by ChatGPT. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I've entered in the prompt to give me 10 ideas for engaging YouTube videos. These can be from a variety of topics and genres. And so here are 10 ideas that ChatGPT will give me. And so I encourage you to pick one of the video ideas from your list to then have ChatGPT write a script for. And so you'll likely recognize some of these common things that you find on YouTube, such as top 10 lists, how-to tutorials, day in the life vlogs, product reviews, challenges such as the Try Not to Laugh challenge, the 24-hour challenge, spicy food challenge, etc., Q&A sessions, travel videos, reaction videos, educational videos, and collaborations. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to please write a YouTube script for video number 8. And this would be reaction video. So this is going to give me an example script for a reaction video. We'll see what ChatGPT comes up with. Let me scroll down to see it in action. So here's the script. Hey, what's up, guys? That's a good YouTube intro. Welcome back to my channel. Now I noticed that's not asking me to smash the subscribe button or the bell or whatever, but it's doing pretty well with its script. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a reaction video. And I love watching these type of videos, so I thought I would give it a try. I have a few videos queued up and I'll be watching them for the first time and we'll react together. So let's get started. And so then the script's video 1, and it's a reaction to a viral TikTok video plays or a clip presumably. And then the script, wow, that was hilarious. I can see why it went viral. Video 2, a movie trailer reaction, oh man, that looks so good, etc., etc. Video 3, okay, for our final video, we have a video of a professional athlete doing an insane trick shot. I doubt you would say a professional athlete, probably sounds like either a basketball player, hockey player, something like that. I've heard a lot about this one, so I'm excited to see it, and then the reaction, etc. So conclusion, all right, guys, that's it for today's video. And then we round things out with the end of that YouTube script. Now keep in mind that YouTube is a visual medium. You could just sit on camera and read out that script, but it's always a good idea to perhaps include slides, stock video footage, animations, and other visual devices to make your message more engaging. Now, not so much with the reaction video perhaps, but other types of videos, especially if it's all informational or educational. So as another example, I want to ask that same prompt, but instead of having a script for script number 8, let's do script for video number 9. And here would be an example of an educational video. And as I mentioned, you wouldn't necessarily want to just be reading this and having the students watching you just recite this information or this script. And so it is writing out the body of this script here, talking about the Olympic Games. And the first one's being held in Athens in 1896, and then other information around more modern Olympic Games. So let me give a prompt that will be a follow-up prompt to use to get help with potential videos to insert inside of this script. Okay, so I initially submitted a prompt. I've decided to hone in on that and condense it down a little bit. And so the final prompt here, and I'm going to save and submit this and regenerate the response, would be to rewrite that script to include a list of slides and bullet points I could include in the body of the script, meaning the script up here, provide notes for potential stock video I could insert. And so I'm going to save and submit. So here is the rewritten script with the requested changes. And so the introduction, welcome back to the channel, etc. And so then here are some slide information such as slide 1. Text would be introduction to the Olympic Games, brief history of the games, importance, purpose, etc. Slide 2, the ancient Olympic Games, and then some notes around the attire or lack thereof of the participants. And then slide 3, the end of the ancient games. Slide 4, revival of the modern Olympic Games. Slide 5, evolution of the modern games. Slide 6, recent Olympic Games. And also you'll notice that there's notes here around some stock footage you could include, such as footage of different sports and athletes competing in the Olympic Games. There's a note here about Simone Biles' gravity-defying routines, as well as far as some other stock footage you may be able to include, or Usain Bolt's world record, and then finally a conclusion. And so we've got a script for our YouTube video and some ideas around slides, stock images, and videos as well. So the next lesson, I want to take this further by using ChatGPT to write YouTube titles, descriptions, tags, keywords, etc. So I'll see you there. Now that we have a YouTube script, complete with ideas for stock footage clips to use, along with potential slide deck content, we can also leverage the prowess of ChatGPT to create a title, description, and tags for our video. Here's an example prompt you can leverage to help your own YouTube videos get seen. All right, so this is a fairly long prompt, and so here I've got the prompt to create a moderately clickbaity title for this YouTube video, and yes, clickbaity is a word, I think. And write the YouTube video description. Also provide me with a dozen tags that would be good for this video on YouTube based on keyword research to target a wide audience. So let me submit that. And let's see what we have here. So this moderately clickbaity title is "The Shocking Evolution of the Olympic Games You Never Knew About." Then it gives us the description to discover the incredible history of the Olympic Games. And then the different tags here. I requested a dozen. It appears it's done just that. Tagging this in YouTube for Olympics, history, ancient Greece, modern games, and more. So imagine the power of this process, especially once you've created this video and published it to YouTube. You can further repurpose this content and marry both written, audio, and visual communication by doing a follow-up blog post on your website, where you also embed your video in the article as well. This gives you another channel of outreach to get your message across, and this also provides you with more and more valuable content for your audience, as well as growing a list of keywords you may rank for in search, whether that search is occurring on a search engine or in YouTube. For example, I could prompt something like this. Once again, this is a pretty long prompt, and I plan to embed this YouTube video into a blog article on my website that I want you to write for me. Give me the article title and keywords for the blog article. Also provide me with the meta description for this blog article and note in the article where I should embed the video. Also leverage the video script you wrote for me previously and include that after the body of the blog article under the heading video transcript. So let's go ahead and submit that and see what we get here. So here is the article along with title, keywords, meta description, and more. And the article title is "The Fascinating Evolution of the Olympic Games from Ancient Greece to Modern Times." That's a different title than the video title that it did for us. Keywords as well. This would be keywords for the blog article. And then we've got, beyond the meta description, the instructions for embedding the video. It's saying to embed the video at the end of the article, after the body of the article, and before the conclusion under the heading video transcript. So it is noting that you need to embed the video before the video transcript. So then the body of the article is here under that heading that it's written for us in the video transcript. And then it's instructing to insert the transcript of the YouTube video provided earlier under this heading. And we're not done yet. We want to further repurpose this content now and explore other ways we can communicate, not only in visual and text form, but also in audio form. We'll look at using ChatGPT to write podcast scripts in the next lesson. There's another important channel of communication that ChatGPT can help you with, and that is podcasts. We've previously done a lot of content creation around creating book chapters and YouTube scripts. Let's next repurpose this content and build on our previous chat with ChatGPT to create a podcast episode covering the same topic that we did before. And be sure to follow along in your own ChatGPT account, leveraging a topic that interests you. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to revisit my topic I've been demonstrating previously, and I'll prompt ChatGPT to help me call an audible by creating a podcast script for me to round out a fuller content payload for distribution. So here is a prompt idea for that. All right, so for my prompt, I'm asking ChatGPT to rewrite this YouTube script and article as a podcast episode instead. Please instruct my listeners to visit the episode notes for a link to the accompanying video you previously scripted for me. From the previous YouTube script, I want to ask an expert a good question about each of the topics covered. And so give me a list of questions to ask for each of the topics that I can use in the podcast episode at the appropriate time. So let me go ahead and submit that, and let's look at what we get as far as a podcast episode. And here's the intro. Welcome to the podcast name, the show where we explore fascinating topics from history, etc. I'm your host, your name, and today we're taking a deep dive into the evolution of the Olympic Games. So in the body, it's denoting the different topics such as the origins of the Olympic Games, the male-only events in the ancient world, the international expansion of the modern games, and then continuing on from there, the inclusion of new sports and events over time, where we now have snowboarding, beach volleyball, and BMX cycling. Topic 5 is the impact of the games on host cities and countries. And remember, when we get through these topics, we should see some questions we could ask an expert related to those topics. And then our outro. And so actually, it's included here in each of the sections. Didn't see that at first. So some of the questions here is with the first topic of the origins of the Olympic Games. If I had a guest on or an expert related to this topic, I could ask a question about the significance of the games to the ancient Greeks. Second one would be to ask a question about the exclusion of women from the games back in the ancient times. And then the third question, ask questions about the process of international expansion and the challenges it presented. Another question around the process of choosing new sports and events and the criteria used to evaluate them. And then a question about the long-term effects of hosting the games and how they vary depending on the city and country. So in the outro, it's talking about being sure to check the episode notes for a link to the accompanying video, and we'll see you next time. All right, so once you have your podcast episode recorded, you'll want to have a good episode description or show notes to include as well. And so we'll do that in the next lesson. Podcast episode notes serve as a supplement to your audio content and provide your listeners with additional information about the episode, including links, resources, and key takeaways. A good set of podcast episode notes should be clear, concise, and easy to read, and they should also include key takeaways from the episode, links to resources mentioned, and any other relevant information that would be useful to your listeners. Now let's see how ChatGPT can help you write effective podcast episode notes. And to do this, we'll provide you with a sample prompt and show you how to use ChatGPT to generate your own podcast episode notes. Be sure you're in your correct chat from your history sidebar that previously you used to create your podcast script in. That way, ChatGPT can understand the context and pick up where you left off to build your podcast show notes from there. All right, so I'm in my chat history here, and we see the previous ending of our podcast episode notes here as far as the script goes and the questions we could ask of an expert. And so now I've done my follow-up prompt here to please write an engaging show notes post for me that details what my listeners can expect to hear in this episode. And so this would be the accompanying show notes, and it's telling us to join the host as we explore the origins of the Olympic Games, joined by historian expert name. And that would be the person that I'd be asking these questions of, and then an overview of what they can expect to hear, as well as some accompanying potential resources also. And this is actually bringing up two different experts. One would be an Olympic historian and one an urban planner. And so even in the process of creating these show notes, give me an idea of other types of experts I could try and include in this particular episode as well. And so as you can see, using ChatGPT to write your podcast episode notes can save you time and effort while still providing your listeners with valuable information. So now that we've explored the possibilities of communication by way of text, video, and audio, let's next look at what I like to call unleashing the lion of localization in the next lesson. Let's explore the power of language translation and how ChatGPT can help you reach a global audience. In the world of software and digital content, translation is often referred to as localization, or L10N for short. The ability to translate your content into multiple languages opens up a wealth of opportunities for you to reach new audiences and expand your reach. ChatGPT's advanced language models have the capability to translate text accurately and quickly, making it an essential tool for anyone looking to expand their business or reach a global audience. To demonstrate the power of ChatGPT for language translation, we will be translating one of the most famous speeches in American history, the Gettysburg Address, into French, German, Italian, Spanish, and simplified Chinese. By the end of this lesson, you will have a better understanding of how ChatGPT can help you with language translation and how you can use it to reach a global audience. So let's dive in and start unleashing the power of L10N or Lion with ChatGPT. To start with, you'll need the text of the Gettysburg Address with ChatGPT can provide that for you. So let me put in a prompt. Let me share my screen as well. And so we will leverage ChatGPT to get the text of the Gettysburg Address for us. And so I've asked ChatGPT to give me the text of the Gettysburg Address, and so it's going to type that out. Rather than asking ChatGPT to translate the entire speech of the Gettysburg Address, I'm just going to hone in on that first paragraph. And it's probably the most famous piece of this particular speech is 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. So I'm going to put in a follow-up prompt, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to translate this paragraph to French, and that would be that opening paragraph, the 77 years ago. And then we submit that, and then you will see the generation of that into French. And so I could do that same prompt again, but instead of just asking for one language, I could ask for multiple languages. Now, I mentioned at the start of this particular lesson that we were going to translate into French, Italian, German, Spanish, and simplified Chinese, so I'm going to do just that. All right, so I've updated this follow-up prompt to include all of those different languages. And so I'm going to submit here. And so as you can see, ChatGPT is able to translate into multiple languages in the context of one singular prompt here. So here we have the French translation followed by German, followed by Italian, followed by Spanish. This is just the order that I requested them in, and then finally simplified Chinese. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy and paste this back into the prompt box and ask ChatGPT to translate these passages into English to demonstrate not only the ability to translate from English into other languages, but also to translate from those other languages back into English. So I've copied that to my clipboard, and then I'm going to type in. I'm hitting Shift Return inside the box so I don't accidentally send the prompt too soon. And then I'm going to paste all this in here. Then I will hit Enter or click Send in order to get those translations. So you notice that there's reference to 87 years ago. It's not picking up the translation back to 77 years ago. It's converting that to an actual literal 87 years. And so if you ever do go through the process of translating things back and forth, it's kind of like making a copy of a copy. Some things get lost in translation as you're going back and forth, but it does give you the same general concept, but these aren't word for word exactly the same. And so as with all things ChatGPT, as I've mentioned in the past and will mention in the future, you never want to just simply copy and paste or take things at face value, especially language translation. Always consider the translations that ChatGPT generates as a first draft, and you would always want to run those by a native speaker as well to that language in order to verify or QA that that is indeed a valid translation. There's a lot of methodologies and steps involved with localization and translation. It's not so much just copying and pasting. Introducing GPT-4. This is the latest release from OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. I want to share my screen and show you GPT-4 in action. And so on the OpenAI website right now, this is the day of the launch of GPT-4. You can learn more about GPT-4, and here gives some examples and use cases for GPT-4. And you can also try it right now on ChatGPT Plus. That is the paid subscription model for ChatGPT, and it has early access to GPT-4 with some limits. I'll tell you more about that when I show it in action. There is a video that describes GPT-4 there, and then also some notes around the creativity, visual input, and longer context that GPT-4 can handle, up to 25,000 words, I might add. So let's get into my own ChatGPT Plus account. I am logged in. You see here that this is ChatGPT Plus. Let me change this to dark mode. And then the default model comes up. That is the old GPT 3.5, and it also notes the different ratings based on reasoning speed and conciseness. So we've got GPT 3.5, legacy GPT 3.5, and now the brand new GPT-4, which rates well for reasoning and conciseness. Speed is not as fast. GPT-4 excels at tasks that require advanced reasoning, complex instruction, understanding, and more creativity. So once I've selected GPT-4, you notice that there is a message that it currently has a cap of 100 messages every 4 hours. So even though I am a Plus subscriber, there are limits, and this will be very much at capacity sometime today because they're getting ready to demo this live in a couple of hours. Let me give this a prompt and put this to the test and see what I can do as far as having it write something pretty long for me. This is a pretty long prompt, but I'm asking to give me a book chapter on this topic, which would be the evolution of employment in the age of AI, and also to add sections on AI's impact on resumes, job interviews, as well as recruiting, and then also to cover automation outlook into the year 2100, as well as a section on how to prepare your AI pivot into a relevant career. And then I'm asking in the end to also provide a total word count at the end. You don't have to copy and paste that which ChatGPT produces into another website or into Microsoft Word to try and get a word count. You can always just ask ChatGPT, now GPT-4, for that word count in the end as well. And so let's see what it comes up with. And you'll notice as well that it's not super speedy, but hopefully it will provide great content for me here. And it will be up to you to decide if this is an improvement compared to GPT 3.5. You can put that to the test if you do have ChatGPT Plus. If you don't, please do leave in the comments below what you would like for me to prompt inside of GPT-4. And if that would be math equations or complex scenarios, be glad to do that, record it, and publish that also. So I am taking requests, put those in the comments. So here are the different sections that it is providing and going in depth and still going as well. I'll be interested to see how many words in the end that this generates. And while that's right, I'm going to scroll up to see some of the top here in order to review what we have. We've got an introduction, and then it's dividing these into section 1, 2, 3, etc., and then numbering the different sections. It's not giving or pontificating fully on each of these, but it's giving a 1 to 2 sentence paragraph for each of these points, and you could ask it to go even deeper on these points as well. So in the end, you probably could get to 25,000 words fairly quickly using GPT-4. And here we have the conclusion rounding it out and a word count of 464 words. So still well below 25,000, of course, but it has done a pretty good job of giving us a good amount of content. So now I'm going to ask it just to give me 500 words on point 5.3 here. Okay, and let's see what that does. I'm prompting, give me 500 plus words on section 5.3 and give me the resulting word count. So I'm going to send that, and then we will see what that produces. So this is breaking this down into subpoints of 5.31, the importance of a growth mindset, and then it's telling us in the age of AI, cultivating a growth mindset is more critical than ever. With the rapid pace of technological advancements and the constant evolution of industries, a fixed mindset, the belief that intelligence and abilities are static, can be detrimental to one's career success. Great sounding paragraphs. I think the quality of the writing seems to be there. I haven't gone real in depth on this, but I plan to, especially now that GPT-4 is out. Now it's continuing on and giving me even some alphabetical subpoints here in one of these sections as far as action steps that the reader could take. And this is section 5.3.2, characteristics of a growth mindset. Things to do to foster a growth mindset, such as embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, value effort, learn from criticism, be inspired by others' success. And as always with any AI-generated content, you want to give it your own voice and not just simply copy and paste. There are AI detection tools out there that can detect that something's been generated by AI. So you may also disagree with some of these points, and so you wouldn't want to be publishing things that you personally disagree with or don't believe in. And so I do always encourage you to review that which is generated by GPT-4 now and add your own spin and voice to it and not just take it in a copy and paste fashion. But as you can tell, we're getting a lot of words here. And so in the conclusion, it's rounding out that one original section into a very lengthy article. I guess it forgot to give me the word count, and perhaps it's not done. Yeah, it hasn't finished. So you'll see this happen in ChatGPT free, is that it will stop generating sometimes, and it's just done that here for me. So I'm going to ask it to continue. So it almost made it to the end, and so here it's picking right back where it left off and stating that in the age of AI, by fostering resilience, adaptability, and a commitment to continuous learning, individuals can better prepare themselves for the inevitable changes and uncertainties that lie ahead. And then it's continuing on. In conclusion, that's always the key that you're looking for, something like that. And this is a pretty involved paragraph as well. So we've just generated from that one original section a word count of 1,061. So you can tell that you could write a book fairly easily with ChatGPT and using the GPT-4 model. As I mentioned earlier, you can leave in the comments what you would like for me to prompt inside of GPT-4, and it just might be my next video. Together we can explore the depths and the weaknesses and strengths of GPT-4. So I'll see you next time. So the learning objective of this section is to advance your career with ChatGPT. And in this section, you will learn how to use ChatGPT to write job search emails, improve your resume, improve your LinkedIn profile, write cover letters, gear your resume based on a specific job description, and even prepare for job interview questions that are most likely to be asked of you based on a job description. So by the end of this section, you'll be equipped with the knowledge and skills to use ChatGPT to take your career to the next level. So let's get started in the next lesson. Let's learn how to use ChatGPT to write effective job search related emails. So whether you're responding to an initial inquiry from a recruiter or a hiring manager, or simply reaching out to express interest in a job, it's important to make a strong first and lasting impression. We'll look at how to write a response email that showcases your own skills and abilities while also demonstrating your enthusiasm for the opportunity. Let me share my screen for a sample email to get us started. So I've entered in a pretty basic prompt here, simply stating write a job inquiry response email. This will give us an example job inquiry response email. Let me go ahead and submit that, and we'll see what ChatGPT comes up with. And so you could consider this a type of template for whenever a situation arises when you need to respond to an email related to a job inquiry. And here in this template, we have the placeholder for the hiring manager's name. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to inquire about any open positions at company name that would match my skills and experience. I came across your company while conducting research on and then the specific industry and job field, and was immediately drawn to the company's reputation for innovation and commitment to excellence. So this is a very generic and basic template, and this would be considered much like cold calling as far as a email without even being inquired upon subsequently. And so this would be in relation to a specific job that you are inquiring about, okay? And so highlighting here in the next section of this letter, stating the number of years of experience, which is always important, especially in the specific industry or job field, with a focus on other specific skills and expertise, and then also mentioning previous positions also, and then as well a mention of attaching a resume for their review, which will provide further details on your education, experience, and achievements. Please feel free to contact me at phone number, email, etc. You can always adjust this to meet your own needs. So I'm going to do a follow-up prompt here and ask ChatGPT what types of job-related emails can it help me write. And so I've entered in the second prompt, what types of job-related emails can you help me write? And so here will be a list that it gives me. First of which is the one that we just had it and prompted it to give us, was a sample job inquiry email. But then as well, in addition, cover letters, resume or CV follow-up emails. So that would be in essence a follow-up once you have submitted your resume, wanting to provide a follow-up to see if they've got further information. And then other types of follow-up emails, such as for interviews, and then even job offer acceptance or rejection emails if you decide to reject a job offer. And then as well, additionally, networking emails, request for a reference letter email, and request for a recommendation on LinkedIn email. And then as well, email to follow up on an application status, and then finally resignation letters as well. So this is an example of a full spectrum of types of emails that ChatGPT can help you write related to employment, from job seeking all the way through either declining or ending your employment with an organization as well. So as you can see, the possibilities are endless for improving your job and job search related email communications with the help of ChatGPT. Now, we won't work through this entire list in this course, but you can certainly work through this list and ask ChatGPT to give you samples of each of those 10 that we just saw. And as we saw with the job inquiry email response, you are now better equipped to field inquiries from recruiters and hiring managers. And so we also saw a mention of attaching resumes. And so I want to approach the improvement of your resume starting in the next lesson as we leverage ChatGPT's abilities to take your resumes to the next level. ChatGPT can improve your resume by offering suggestions for optimizing its content. It can tailor your resume to match specific requirements of the job you are applying for and highlight the most relevant aspects of your experience, education, and skills. You can also paste your own resume into ChatGPT to get suggestions for improvement. ChatGPT can provide keywords and phrases to help your resume get noticed by applicant tracking systems as well. And you can also ask ChatGPT to give you a resume template for whatever job role you are targeting and simply update it to match your own experience, removing non-relevant skills you have yet to attain. So let me show on my screen an example prompt to give us a resume template for a junior level administrative assistant. All right, so I've put in the prompt, give me an example resume for a junior level administrative assistant. Let me hit send. And so here would be a sample resume, at least the text of that, which you could further format in a program such as Microsoft Word, of course. Has some placeholders here for your full name, address, phone number, and email. And then an objective, and the debate rages on whether you need an objective or not. I typically recommend that if you don't have a lot of on-the-job experience and need to fill out your resume further, have an objective there. If you have tons of experience and need to try to reduce the length of your resume, consider removing the objective from there. And then as well, education, if it applies, if you have a degree from somewhere, then by all means put that on there. If you don't, then maybe leave that off. Then skills, bullet points here, and then the experience with different job titles, name of company, city, state, month and year from and to. And typically you would have your most recent being represented of month and year to current, unless you're currently looking and not currently employed. And this is taking the approach of using bulleted list here. And this is past tense, and so you will want to be mindful of that if you're in a current position to convert that to present tense for your present engagement. And then past engagements would be more past tense. And then also another notes to make, to be sure that you're consistent if you are using bullet points to either have periods at the end of each bullet point or not, but not mixing those in here. ChatGPT is being consistent with those bullet points and not including any sort of periods at the end of those different bullet points. And then also references available upon request, not really necessary to put on a resume if you're leaving that blank. That would be more in a cover letter or some sort of email that you send along with the resume. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now highlight and copy these skills here. And then I'm going to ask ChatGPT to go more in depth related to these skills and to provide a further sentence overview for each of these skills. And so I'm hitting Shift Return so I don't send the prompt inadvertently or too soon. Now I'm going to paste in those list of skills and asking it in the prompt to provide more depth on each of these skills. And this will help me to round out my resume further. In this example, let me scroll down to see that in action now. And so this is probably way too verbose for a resume. I could ask it to condense this down into a briefer response for each, but in case you're needing more detail around what these skills entail, you may be able to glean some ideas for what to include or what to exclude on your resume for each of these. And this is giving you a really full paragraph for each. So you can iterate through each of these sections of your resume to further elevate your resume. And once you have it ready for prime time, you'll likely want to bring those improvements over to your LinkedIn profile as well. So next, I'll show you how to improve your LinkedIn profile and expand your reach in the next lesson. A strong LinkedIn profile can greatly increase your visibility and your credibility in the job market. And in this lesson, we'll be covering how to do just that with the help of ChatGPT. We'll be using ChatGPT to generate personalized suggestions for your profile, headline, summary, experience, and skills sections. And with the help of ChatGPT, you can make sure that your LinkedIn profile accurately reflects your professional brand and showcases the value you can bring to any organization. So let's get started I'll share my screen. All right, so I put in the prompt to create a sample LinkedIn profile for an executive assistant. Let's see what it comes up with. And so it's dividing this up into several sections. First of all, the name gives a sample of Jane Doe, a headline, which there's usually a headline section in a LinkedIn profile as well, in addition to a summary and then the experience. Now this would be very similar to what you would see in a resume at this point as far as the experience, the titles, the corresponding companies, and the to and from. And here in this example, we have a date to the present tense here represented with these different bullet points. Notice that saying that it's managing complex calendars, coordinating travel arrangements, etc. But this is present tense. And then notice that ChatGPT is smart enough to do past tense for past engagements or employment, such as from June of 2015 to December of 2019. Senior executive assistant for ABC Company in San Francisco, in this example, provided high-level administrative support to the CEO and board of directors, created and maintained executive presentations and more. And then rounding out with education, received a BA from the University of California and the dates attended. And then as well, the skills. These are things that can be endorsed by others on LinkedIn. And you can have, I believe, up to 50 of these listed. And so this is giving you an idea of which skills to add to your own LinkedIn profile. You could always follow up and ask people to endorse those skills if they are aware of your abilities in these specific areas. And as always, these are just examples for experience, for skills, etc. And you will need to make these fit your own experience level and skills and not borrow from areas that you don't have those actual experience and skills. And then as well, you can add certifications if you have those professionally on your LinkedIn profile, and you can search for those and add those. And as well, typically you can add the certification number and if there's any sort of attainment date, any sort of expiration date, etc. And so that also helps round out your LinkedIn profile also. So with the help of ChatGPT, you can elevate your LinkedIn profile and make a great first impression on potential employers. Think of your LinkedIn profile as your own personal sales page, and it is here that potential employers will evaluate the value you can provide. Now that your sales page is in place on LinkedIn, it is time to focus on attracting attention to your profile. In the next lesson, we'll be looking at how you can use ChatGPT to engage with your network and build relationships on LinkedIn. So I'll see you there. So let's talk about using ChatGPT for increasing your LinkedIn engagement and reach. So the more time you spend on LinkedIn, the more opportunities you have to connect with others, showcase your expertise, and build your professional brand as well. So I encourage you to consider using ChatGPT to increase your LinkedIn engagement. It can help you generate ideas and craft thoughtful comments, posts, and articles that add value to your LinkedIn network. Now, one way to leverage ChatGPT is by using it to write insightful comments that contribute to your ongoing conversations in your network. This not only helps you build relationships with other professionals, but also establishes you as a thought leader in your field. Another way to use ChatGPT to increase your LinkedIn engagement is by writing posts and articles that share your thoughts and ideas with a wider audience. When your audience responds with comments, be sure to engage with them to keep the conversation going. And if you're struggling to get started on a post, ChatGPT can help you generate a draft that you could refine later. You can start with a shorter form post and use ChatGPT to also expand your ideas and write a longer form article. Lastly, ChatGPT can assist you in finding and joining groups that are relevant to your industry or interests. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through that process. So I'm going to ask a very generic or general question to start with. In the prompt, I've asked, how can I find good LinkedIn groups to join? I may need to provide ChatGPT with greater context in order to know what sort of groups I'm wanting to find. But here it's informing me that I can use the search bar to search for LinkedIn groups. I can explore LinkedIn's suggestions, where it may suggest groups for me to join based on my profile and interests. And it's giving some instructions on where to click as well. Click on the work icon in the top right corner of your LinkedIn page and select groups. Check out your connections group so you can see those that you're connected with, what groups they're in. Browse industry publications, and then join LinkedIn groups based on events as well. Many conferences and events have LinkedIn groups associated with them. So when searching for groups, make sure to read the group description and rules to ensure it's a good fit for you. So by joining LinkedIn groups, you can connect with others who share your passions and learn from their experiences and also share your own. So now let's talk about using ChatGPT to write a cover letter for you. And cover letters can help you land job interviews sometimes. And so first, let's talk about what a cover letter is in case you're not aware of that and why it can be important. So a cover letter is a document that accompanies your resume and introduces you to the employer. It highlights your skills, experiences, and qualifications and explains why you're the best fit for the job. But before you dive into writing a cover letter, you need to first gather some information. You'll need to have a clear understanding of the job you're applying for, the company culture, and the qualifications that they are looking for. This information will help you to tailor your cover letter to the specific job and company. Now that you have all the information you need, it's time to write a cover letter, and you can do this with ChatGPT. So let me share my screen and show you how this can be done. And so typically you would be finding a job description for a job that you're interested in somewhere online. I'm asking ChatGPT to give me a sample job description. And here this would be a prompt stating, write an example job description for a Salesforce business analyst in the crypto industry. All right, so I'm sending that and waiting for that response, and this will be a job description much like what you would see on LinkedIn or other job boards. This is specific to Salesforce business analysts in the crypto industry, and this is giving us a company overview as far as what this company is about, as well as the job description and some of the classic hallmarks of a job description. For example, is this verbiage here, such as a Salesforce business analyst, you'll be responsible for working closely with our sales, marketing, and customer success teams to ensure the successful implementation and ongoing management of Salesforce. And so you notice here the marketing, sales, and service. We've talked about that before, the three fundamentals of any business, really the core underpinnings of Salesforce as well as a CRM or customer relationship management platform. And then here are the responsibilities, which include developing a deep understanding of their business processes, working with stakeholders to define requirements. These are also commonly referred to requirements for a business analyst, dealing with stakeholders, defining requirements, configuring Salesforce to meet business needs, including creating custom objects, fields, and workflows, collaborating with developers, creating and maintaining reports, identifying opportunities for process improvement, and conducting training sessions for new users. And then qualifications, looking for a bachelor's degree, 3+ years of experience in Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud, and also prefers having a certified admin certification as well as perhaps advanced admin. I don't notice that it has listed here as a requirement the business analyst certification for Salesforce, and so typically you may see that now. And the knowledge cutoff of ChatGPT is currently 2021, and Salesforce released a business analyst certification in 2022. And so we'll continue on with the ability to work independently and more. And then finally, knowledge of the crypto industry is a plus. If you're passionate about the crypto industry, have a proven track record as a Salesforce business analyst, etc. And so now I want to do a follow-up prompt. And so for this next prompt, I'm doing a follow-up to that job description now and asking ChatGPT to write a cover letter that is geared for that Salesforce business analyst job description. So let me hit enter and send that. Let's see what we get here for a cover letter. So dear hiring manager, and you may want to personalize this with the name of the person you're reaching out to. I'm writing to express my strong interest in the Salesforce business analyst position at your fast-growing crypto company. You would probably refer to the company name instead. With my 3+ years of experience as a business analyst, I'm confident in my ability to make a valuable contribution to your team and help drive your company's success. So there's several different paragraphs here in this cover letter. Probably in here as well is some mention of an attached resume, and then also expressing excitement about the opportunity once you pivot beyond just your experience and why you're a good fit for this role, and your commitment to delivering high quality results. And thank you for considering my application. I look forward to the opportunity to discuss my qualifications further. So that's a good example of a cover letter. And so once you have your cover letter generated, it's time to proofread it and make any necessary changes. And be sure your cover letter is professional, concise, and to the point. And you can always prompt a follow-up asking for greater brevity, enthusiasm, or whatever tone you are looking for. And with ChatGPT, writing a cover letter is easier than ever, and now you can focus on the important things like gearing your resume for a specific job description. I'll show you how to do just that in the next lesson. Job interview preparation is key to making a great impression and landing the job that you want. That's why in this video lesson, we'll be discussing how to use ChatGPT to prepare for job interviews. First, let's talk about researching the company and the specific job you are interviewing for. ChatGPT can help you gather information on a company's mission, values, and products or services. This will give you a better understanding of the company culture and the day-to-day responsibilities of the role you're interviewing for. For example, let's research ChatGPT's parent organization, OpenAI, by prompting for more information and intel. So let me share my screen. So I've prompted ChatGPT to give me OpenAI's mission statement, values, and a high-level list of their products and services. And so here, ChatGPT has given us OpenAI's mission statement, which is to create and promote artificial intelligence in a way that benefits humanity as a whole. They aim to develop and advance AI technologies and promote their safe and responsible use. And then there's a section on OpenAI's values, including a commitment to advancing AI technologies for the betterment of society, transparency in their research, collaboration with other organizations and researchers, and a dedication to safety and ethics in AI development. And then the range of products and services would be GPT, and that would be the generative pre-trained transformer language models, of which we are learning about now. DALL-E, and that's the image AI that they have that can generate images from text inputs. And then as well, Codex, OpenAI Gym, a platform for developing and comparing reinforcement learning algorithms, robotics research and development, OpenAI Scholars Program, and then as well consulting services as well. So overall, OpenAI's mission is to advance AI in a way that benefits humanity while their values center around safety, transparency, etc. All right, so now I want to do a follow-up prompt, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write potential interview questions for a job that they have listed on their website. So I've got in another tab here, careers at OpenAI, and I'm viewing all open positions right now. The first one listed here is for an AI product counsel position in San Francisco, California in the legal department. And let me peruse a few others here just to show you what sort of flavor of jobs they have. And most of these appear to be in San Francisco. Don't see many that are remote. And you see some engineering roles here and the different departments that they belong to. And one that is outside of San Francisco is U.S. Policy and Partnerships Lead, and that's in Washington, D.C. So I'll just go ahead and select the first one on the list here and feed that into ChatGPT, the job description for that, and ask it to give me potential interview questions for this job, okay? So here we have the AI Product Counsel, then about the team, about the role, in this role, you might thrive in this role if, and then about OpenAI, compensation, benefits, and perks, pays $230,000 a year. And then here are some of the benefits. So I'm not going to worry so much about below the compensation, benefits, and perks, but I want to include all of this information. I'm going to just copy this job description here, copy that to my clipboard, and then I'll paste that into ChatGPT. And I'll go ahead and get the title. I might clean some of this out, but I want to feed most of this into ChatGPT. I'm going to ask it to write potential interview questions for this job description with OpenAI. And I'm going to shift return a couple of times, and then I'm going to paste in that job description so that I don't accidentally prompt too early. Premature prompting. And so here we have our job title, the location. I'm going to take out the apply now because that was a link on the website, about the team, about the role, etc. So I'll just simply copy this over from OpenAI's website. I'm going to send this, and then we will see a list of potential questions for job interview if you're interviewing for this role. And this will give you several from my own experience. I've tried this out on a lot of different roles and jobs and companies. And it's basing this not only on the job description, but also the details around the company for which you're interviewing based on their culture, their mission, etc. And the machine learning behind ChatGPT does its best to guess its best guess on what you may be asked in an interview for that particular position. And so one of the questions, what inspired you to apply for the AI Product Counsel role at OpenAI? Can you describe your experience with privacy and product counseling in the technology industry? And we have a list of 10 here. And so the 10th one, can you tell us about a time when you faced a particularly challenging legal issue in the technology industry, how you approached and resolved it? So I'm going to do a follow-up prompt now. All right, so I'm asking it to write an engaging 2 to 3 sentence response to question number 10 from above. And this gives me an example response. One of the most challenging legal issues I faced in the technology industry was navigating the complex regulatory landscape surrounding data privacy and cybersecurity for a new product launch. And then it goes on from there. It's pretty in-depth. Now, of course, you don't want to just lift this entirely if you don't have that actual experience. This is more for demonstration purposes. You will have and be able to derive stories of your own from your own experience, and as well, this may help you in identifying some of your weaknesses and then prepare further by gaining experience to help fill in those gaps that are identified through that list. So as you can see, you can repeat this process for all of the possible interview questions that are provided by ChatGPT. This helps you make the most of your ChatGPT assisted interview preparation and also to identify any areas of weakness in your responses. And I encourage you to take time to reflect on your progress and make an action plan for improvements that you need to make, filling in those gaps that I was just referring to. This will often lead to giving you direction on additional skills and experience you need to become equipped with. With the help of ChatGPT, you can feel more confident and better prepared for your next job interview. They say that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and so I'm going to put ChatGPT to the test to see if it can pull up images of certain things. Previous lesson, we were looking at a specific temple in Indonesia called the Borobudur Temple. Let's see if we can pull up an image for it. So I've asked to show me an image of the Borobudur Temple. It's unable to browse the internet or access any images. So this is text only. Even though it does provide you examples of code and it can write code for you, it does not provide you with images. There's probably a lot of copyright concerns. It does give you some nice text-based descriptions of what this temple may look like, but if you're wanting to see an actual image, that's where you'd want to go to Google or Wikipedia, for example, to pull in more information of what this might look like. So here is an actual image of the Borobudur Temple on Wikipedia. And here you would find the description. So this is the limit of ChatGPT, but understandable. So we'll continue on exploring more geographical concerns inside of ChatGPT starting the next lesson. I want to take a topic that we found inside of the previous lesson, that being the Irrawaddy River, and I want to explore using ChatGPT to write an article or a paper for you related to this specific river. This is an example of how you can use this amazing tool, ChatGPT, to write content, blog articles, academic research papers, etc. I'm going to use ChatGPT at the forefront here for some idea generation. I'm not just going to ask it to write an article for me, but I'm going to give it my goal here of I'm trying to create a good 1,000-word article on the Irrawaddy River. What would it need to contain? Let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so from an idea generation perspective, this is giving you some details on what would be contained in a good 1,000-word article on the Irrawaddy River. It would need to contain a comprehensive overview of the river's geography, history, and significance to the people of Myanmar. And it could also start by providing some basic information about the river's location, length, and major tributaries. And then it suggests that you could go on to discuss the river's historical importance as a major trade and transportation route in Myanmar, as well as its current role in the country's economy and development. And then from there, it starts to get into some other things that the article could accomplish. You could delve into unique cultural and ecological significance of the river, including its rich biodiversity and the traditional ways of life of the people who live along its banks. You could also discuss the challenges facing the river and its ecosystems, such as deforestation, pollution, and the impacts of development projects. And additionally, the article could explore the many interesting and scenic spots along the river, including ancient temples, scenic forests, and colorful local markets. And so then it rounds things out saying overall, a good 1,000-word article on the Irrawaddy River would provide a well-rounded and engaging look at this important natural and cultural resource in Myanmar. You could take that as a jumping off point. You could decide to really focus on one significant thing here. You could look at what are the deforestation challenges along the Irrawaddy River, and I'll hit the down arrow to see this generate. And so bear in mind that all of this content that's being generated right now is just from one specific topic or item from the idea generation portion of what a good 1,000-word article may contain. It's given me a list here of several different challenges related to deforestation, specifically to this particular river. I'll leave it to you to read this or try this out on your own. I'm not going to spend my time reading this, but you can tell that with just a few follow-up questions here, you have a lot of content that you could then go and produce further information around or to explore further. You may want to hone in on reduced water quality related to deforestation on the Irrawaddy River. So as you can see, you can really niche down or niche down, depending on how you like to pronounce that, and go further with ChatGPT on any topic that it has information on. And so finally, I'm going to attempt to have it write an actual 1,000-word blog article related to deforestation along the Irrawaddy. So I'm asking it to please write an engaging and thought-provoking 1,000-word article on deforestation challenges along the Irrawaddy River. Hit enter and let's see what happens. And so here, my friends, we have machine learning by way of ChatGPT writing a 1,000-page article for me. I will save this to a PDF and make it a downloadable resource so you can read it at your leisure and take in the implications of what we are now witnessing by way of ChatGPT. And so it did complete. For some reason, there is a network error here. I'm going to copy and paste this into a PDF file. Check for that in the resources so that you can review that so you don't have to pause the video. And we'll continue on from here exploring further use cases for ChatGPT starting in the next lesson. We have explored pulling up information related to people and places using ChatGPT. Now let's look at pulling up information related to things. Now, early in this course, we used the Wikipedia random generator to randomly generate different topics. One of the ones that pulled up is one of my favorites, which is, of course, Rhapsodidia ornithiceps, which is some sort of paper wasp. Never heard of it before, but I want to see what ChatGPT knows about this really specific thing that I can't really figure out how to pronounce correctly. And so it does reveal to us that it is indeed a paper wasp found in India. Gives some ideas of the body length and more information around it, in addition to the nests that are found, which contain hundreds of individual wasps. So you can compare and contrast what you learn about a specific thing inside of ChatGPT with Wikipedia here. And as I mentioned previously in previous lessons, if you're wanting to see images, Wikipedia is a better option than ChatGPT, but this is one specific species of a paper wasp. You could go up a level and find out more information about the different types of paper wasps in the world. And here, going up a level, we get a list here of several different types of paper wasps, as well as their names and locations where they may be found. And then a general summation in the end that paper wasps are found on every continent except Antarctica. And so revisiting this topic inside of Wikipedia, there's a mention of the catalog of life. I want to explore the catalog of life further using ChatGPT starting in the next lesson. Let's explore this concept of the catalog of life. This is a topic that you may or may not have heard of before, but I'm going to copy this and then place this inside of the thread. I'll go ahead and start a new thread actually by clicking new thread here at the top left. And then I will ask, what is the catalog of life? And let's see what sort of information we can glean from ChatGPT. And so at a very high level, it is a comprehensive and authoritative list of names of all known species of plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms. It is maintained by the Species 2000 organization, a consortium of taxonomic institutions from around the world. Sounds like a fun group. The goal of the catalog is to provide a standard reference for use in scientific research and conservation efforts. So I want to look up who the Species 2000 organization is by saying, tell me more about, then I'll paste that in, the Species 2000 organization. So you can see here, as you follow the breadcrumbs or follow different topics or hone in on things, you may learn some new things and ask further questions and follow up and continue on. The nice thing about ChatGPT is it remembers the previous questions. Now, unfortunately, no further information here on Species 2000 organization. Let me refer back to Catalog of Life, and here we have the Species 2000 and further information there. So you'll see that even though ChatGPT does have information on a lot of topics, it's not quite as wide and deep as something like a Wikipedia. Now, over time, I imagine that will grow as this machine language learns and improves over time, and that's part of the goal here that it states. So going back a level to the Catalog of Life, I'm going to ask, where can I access the Catalog of Life to see if it can point me to a specific location or not? So this does tell you that it does not provide information on where you can access the Catalog of Life, but then reiterates that it's maintained by the Species 2000 organization and encourages you to find information by searching for Species 2000 organization online. And so here would be the URL for the Catalog of Life. It's catalogoflife.org, and then you could search from there. So it would be nice if ChatGPT did provide URLs and links, and perhaps over time it will, but for now some limitations that we're coming up against once again. Now we're going to continue on accessing other types of things. Remember, we've been dealing with people, places, and things, so we've been exploring different types of nouns in the context of what is known about them on ChatGPT. So we'll continue on the next lesson looking at a specific song that we pulled up earlier. We'll do that next. This is a song that's pulled up randomly by the Wikipedia random generator. This is a song called A Little in Love by Paul Brandt. This was released on October 2nd of 1997. It reached number 1 on the Canada Country Tracks list, but only reached number 45 in the US. And so this may not be a notable enough song and or artist to pull up. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and then see if I can find more information related to this song via ChatGPT. I'm going to start a new thread. I'll go ahead and place this inside of quotes to denote that as the title of the song. Tell me more about the song A Little in Love. Perhaps not notable enough. We'll see if it comes up with anything. And so we see that it is pulling up information related to a song, but not the song that we're looking for. This is a song from the musical The Little Prince by composer Lucy Simon and lyricist Don Black, not the song by Paul Brandt. So I'm going to see if I can get more information related to the song, but specified by Paul Brandt to do a rephrase. And so for this particular song, an artist is not familiar with that one. So let's explore the song from the musical The Little Prince, A Little in Love, and see if we can pull in the lyrics. It's given us some details around the song, which is sung by the character of the Little Prince, expressing his longing for the rose he has fallen in love with. It is a poignant and beautiful ballad that captures the little prince's innocent and pure love for the rose. So sorry, Paul Brandt, but we don't have information on you, so we're going to dig deeper into this particular song. So I'm going to ask you to show me the lyrics for the song A Little in Love from The Little Prince. And let's see if it will actually share the lyrics or if that will be blocked because of copyright. And so the display of lyrics is blocked. Apparently that would be a copyright consideration. And so suffice it to say that we can only get a description of the song from ChatGPT, but they're avoiding copyright claims by not providing the actual lyrics. It's telling us it can't display lyrics, but it can tell you that it is a ballad sung by the character of the Little Prince. And once again, it expresses his longing for the rose he has fallen in love with. So we'll follow this thread of songs and music and lyrics and see if ChatGPT can write an original song lyric for us starting in the next lesson. We have not been able to pull in lyrics for this song. This is a song that was from a musical that was based on a book. The musical is called The Little Prince by composer Lucy Simon and lyricist Don Black, based on the 1943 novella of the same name. So I looked up The Little Prince musical. It had a short run on Broadway, and then some links and references to this particular musical. I don't have the actual lyrics to that song, but what I want to see is if I can give some details around what the topic of that ballad is and see if ChatGPT can come up with its own song lyrics or make up a song with this title. I'm going to copy this. I'm asking it to please give me original song lyrics in the style of a country song about, and then I'm going to paste in here, a ballad sung by the character of the Little Prince and expresses his longing for the rose he has fallen in love with. It returns the lyrics. These would be original lyrics for a country song about the Little Prince and his love for the rose. Gives you a verse, a chorus, a verse 2, a chorus, and even a bridge, and then the chorus once again. Not that I'm going to sing this, but we'll read some of this here. I'm just a little in love, but it feels like so much more with a heart that's pure and true. I'll love her till I'm through. And then we get to the chorus, my rose, my love, my light. You make my world so bright. I'll cherish every moment in your arms. I'm content. Now that's some good rhyming right there. Verse 2, I may be just a boy, but my love is strong and real. I'll give you everything, my heart, my soul, my will. Back to the chorus, which I've read before. Not going to sing it. Let's hit the bridge, shall we? I may be small and fragile, but my love is mighty and true. I'll hold on to you forever, my rose, I'm forever yours. And then we round things out with the chorus. So what I'm going to do just for grins is I'm going to ask it the same question again, ask the same request again for a country song with the same exact wording and see if it gives me something different or the same as far as if it can create yet another original song lyric for me in the style of a country song. What I found with the generation of these ChatGPT song lyrics is it typically does give you a couple of verses, a bridge, and a chorus as well. as a common refrain, but let's see what it does here if we ask it again. And I'll also put this in a PDF as well so that you can review this or download it to your heart's content. Feel free to set this to music, ideally set to country music. Upload that to YouTube, tag me, put it on LinkedIn or somewhere, and that way you can share your own creation with the world. It'll be the first ever collab between yourself and ChatGPT. May just be the next big country hit, but let me review this here and see if this is any different. It says here are some revised lyrics for a country song about the little prince and his love for the rose. Looks like the bridge may be different, maybe not. Looks the same here, so it's saying it's revised, but I'll just have to paste those in a PDF and see. So we'll continue on. We'll look at other works of art and see how creative ChatGPT can get, perhaps with fictional storytelling. We'll do that in the next lesson. Where things get really interesting is when you ask ChatGPT to create original things based on prompts that you provide it. So we have explored the creation of original country music lyrics in previous lessons. So now we want to work on a work of fiction. I want to do a short story. I want to ask ChatGPT to create a love story between a paper wasp and a kite that they together fly too close to the sun, and see what it comes up with. So for my prompt, I've typed up, please create a short story about a paper wasp who falls in love with a kite. They fly too close to the sun and their love burns out. So let's see what ChatGPT can come up with, shall we? Once upon a time in a beautiful meadow filled with wildflowers, there lived a paper wasp named Willow. She lived with her colony in a small paper nest that they had built together in the branches of a tall oak tree. Willow was a gentle and kind wasp, but she was also adventurous and loved to explore the world around her. One day, while out on a flight, Willow came across a beautiful kite that was flying high in the sky. The kite was a stunning shade of blue with long flowing streamers that danced in the wind. Willow was immediately drawn to the kite, and she began to follow it wherever it went. As she flew alongside the kite, Willow felt her heart begin to flutter. She had never felt this way before, and she knew that she was falling in love. The kite seemed to sense her feelings, and it began to fly even higher, inviting Willow to follow. Without hesitation, Willow accepted the kite's invitation, and the two of them soared higher and higher into the sky. They flew together for hours, lost in the beauty of the moment and the exhilaration of flight. But as they flew, Willow and the kite grew closer and closer to the sun, and as they flew too close, their love began to burn, consumed by the heat of the sun. In the end, their love was extinguished, and Willow and the kite fell from the sky, their brief, fiery love a memory. Coming off the heels of that work of art that ChatGPT just created related to the paper wasp falling in love with the kite and their love burning out, an amazing masterpiece, I might add, which I've included as a downloadable resource in the previous lesson. Now I want to continue on this theme of creating original works of art and writing by way of creating a haiku using ChatGPT. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write a haiku. And here I'm asking it to please write a haiku about a paper wasp who is struck by lightning, catches fire, and starts a forest fire. And so the thing about haikus, they're succinct, and it's captured all of this information from my prompt and has written an original work of art here. As it reads, paper wasp flying high, struck by lightning, flames ignite, forest fire born. So continuing on with other haiku possibilities, here's a prompt that just came to me. Don't ask me where these come from, but I'm asking ChatGPT to please write a haiku about a lost paper clip stuck in a shoe of an NFL football player who is carted off on a stretcher, exposing the paper clip to a live TV audience. Go, ChatGPT. Once again, another work of art. It reads, lost paper clip found, stuck in a shoe on the field, live TV, oops. Finally, one third and final haiku. So here is the prompt that I've elected to go with. Please write a haiku for me that I could post on LinkedIn to let my network know I'm looking for a job as a stenographer. Go, ChatGPT. And from the haiku heavens, ChatGPT has generated, in search of a job skilled in stenography, please contact me soon. That is haiku gold. Let's continue on with more original works by way of ChatGPT. We've previously used ChatGPT to write a fictional country song. Now, the fascinating thing about ChatGPT is it can write in the style of different genres of music and also pull in information from known entities such as TV shows. In this example or prompt, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to turn Breaking Bad, the TV show, into a Broadway musical, and to please give me the lyrics for the final song in this fictional musical. So it's going to give an attempt here and check out what it does and how it approaches this process. Now, there may be some spoilers if you've not watched all of Breaking Bad. You may not want to read these lyrics, but it's saying, sure, I can take a stab at that. Here are the lyrics for the final song in a hypothetical Broadway musical adaptation of Breaking Bad. So we got the narrator opening things, and then some lines by Walter White, and then as well Jesse Pinkman. Chorus, Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad. We tried to play the game, but in the end it's just a show, and now it's time to say goodbye. Walter saying, I thought I had it all figured out, but now I see the truth. I let my ego get the best of me, and now I've lost it all. As I mentioned, spoilers ahead. Jesse Pinkman realizing he's just a pawn in his game, but now I'm breaking free, etc., etc. Then the chorus, and then the narrator. Very interesting approach. Now I'm going to ask you to do it again, and let's see if it comes up with something different. And this is what's fascinating with ChatGPT, is it doesn't do the same thing sometimes. All right, so I'm going to start a new thread, try this again, see if I can get something different, or if it does the same thing again, just out of curiosity more than anything. And here's a new version. Walter White, he was a man with a plan and a dream, but things didn't go as he had planned, and now it seems his journey's at an end. Here's the chorus. Breaking Bad, the curtain falls and the story ends, but the legacy lives on in the choices that we made. Breaking Bad, Breaking Bad. Ooh, verse 2 has some goodies in it. From Kim, teacher, to crystal meth, kingpin, Walter soared, but then he fell. He lost it all in the end. His empire crumbled, and he said farewell. Then back to the chorus once again. And then the bridge. Those are always good. In the end, it's not about the money or the power or the fame. It's about the choices that we make and the people that I think it should be became instead of become. And then once again, the chorus, Breaking Bad, etc., etc., curtain closes. We've seen ChatGPT reimagine TV shows as Broadway musicals, write haikus and short stories. Let's see if ChatGPT can come up with a story from Mona Lisa's perspective as she daydreams about life beyond the gallery and trying to ignore the constant stares. Let's go, ChatGPT. What you got? And so from that prompt, ChatGPT has created a pretty well-written piece here from the perspective of Mona Lisa, and it does weave into the narrative some facts about this work of art. It does reside inside of the Louvre, which is located inside the city of Paris. It gives the perspective of how much she would love the idea of exploring the city. She also knew it would mean leaving the safety and comfort of the Louvre behind. She wasn't sure if she was ready for that kind of adventure. Also, ChatGPT is good to weave in the goals of the prompt as well, as far as ignoring the constant stares of the visitors, and leave some hope at the end as well, interestingly enough. But deep down, she knew that one day she would break free and explore the world beyond the gallery walls. I'll put this in a PDF for you to download and read in order to take this in as well. And I encourage you to explore your own ideas from the world of art and fiction, and exploring using different prompts for ChatGPT to write stories from different perspectives that maybe you hadn't thought about before.